Hola, hello. Hola, ladies and gentlemen, señores y señoras. What's happening? ¿Qué ole? I'm thinking about all the people that I love right now, and I love them so much. And I can't even tell you how much I love you. It's me. It's the guy that loves you. It's the guy that you love, the guy that loves you. Aside from all the love, I haven't released a podcast in a good while. I don't know, like it's been like maybe 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. Because I've been quite busy, and it's been an incredibly busy time out here. My wife's getting into yoga, and we both have to take care of the kids. And, I work on music, and I have gigs to play, et cetera, et cetera. But I took my daughter to see the Nutcracker last night, excuse me. And it was exquisite. It was wonderful. It was me and my 3-year-old, and she loved it. And I bought her some chocolate, and I bought her some popcorn, which we had to leave in the lobby because we couldn't take it into the theater. I don't know why the lady said that we could take it into the theater. But the music is great. I love that. I love the music of Tchaikovsky's in The Nutcracker. Did I say that we went to the opera? We didn't go to the opera. Did I say that? It's not an opera. It's a ballet. It's a ballet. And the music, when I was listening to the music, it's amazing how much emotion the music brings out. And music makes you feel, or it brings out of you, or it resonates with emotions that you have that are just too vague to paint with words. It's an amazing thing. But that got me wondering about it, in the sense that, does everybody feel that? Because my daughter wasn't feeling that at all. She was like, she couldn't stop fidgeting in her chair, and she was liking it, and she would yell out. She would be like, "Princess, it's a princess." And I'd be like, "Shh." But fortunately there were other kids there, so I didn't have to shush her too badly. I hope the people around us weren't getting too annoyed. If they were, hey, you went to go see the Nutcracker, okay? What do you expect? So I wonder if other people feel that with music. I know that they do at certain points in time, like my daughter wasn't, as I mentioned. But there's been other times where I've been playing the guitar at home, and I play, let's say, a melancholy song, and I see her face change, and I see that she's feeling an emotion to that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing that we have, music. And if it catches you at the right time, I don't know what it does. I don't know if it brings emotions out of you, like I said, or if it resonates with things that you feel. But it definitely describes something that is very difficult to describe without it, as far as emotions and feelings. Okay, this podcast is a little bit messy because, like I said, I've been busy, and I put it together in a different way, and I did some recordings on my phone, but here they are, and I hope you enjoy them. I appreciate your donations. Feel free to go to the podcast site and donate, atlanticradio.blogspot.com. And the Amazon link is not working anymore because you pendejos don't use it. You know what I'm saying? And what am I going to do? I can't force you to do that. I don't want to do that. Hey, you know what? This is not my main source of income anyway. It's like, this is a very, very side project type of income. I plan on podcasting for the rest of my life, I think. And I thank you for listening. And I hope you keep listening more. I have another interview episode coming up after this. And if you don't mind, I think this kind of episode is a little different. A little bit, poquito diferente. Yeah. Yes, it is I, the guy who loves you. Enjoy. Now, continuing where I left off in my last talk, about how much of you is you, or how much of you, for lack of a better word, originates from you. How do rebels know? How do rebels know to wear a leather jacket? Like, how does every rebel that rides, that doesn't necessarily ride a motorcycle, but how does every rebel know that in order for you to be a rebel, you have to wear a leather jacket or a certain kind of clothing or boot? Because doing these kinds of things is revealing about ourselves. Because when you do something like you choose a piece of clothing based on what it says about you, I guess you can't really get away from that, but to a degree. But when you choose a piece of clothing because of what it says about you, you're actually choosing it based on what it's going to say to other people, not to you. Somehow in a movie or in a book or in pictures, you read or saw that to buy such a jacket is to be a rebel, is to be seen as rebellious. There's a term, identity politics, which has been floating around for I don't know how long, but I just recently became acquainted with it about 3 months ago. And it basically means that you don't side with things because of how you feel about them. You side with things because they fit into an identity, into a mold of this is how people who like such and such thing are. I identified this, and I'm pretty sure marketers have known about this for a long time, where when I was first thinking about it, I was thinking about incense and who buys incense. And I was thinking that if somebody buys incense, then they'll probably be into meditation and yoga. And you could probably sell them patchouli also, much more easily than you can sell that to somebody who frequents Dillard's or Sephora or Macy's exclusively. In the same vein, just because you're into natural food, how do you know that you're supposed to buy a Subaru? If you're into meditation or yoga, or how do you know, who told you that you're supposed to buy a Subaru? That this Subaru says to the world and to yourself maybe, hey, I am this kind of a person. Look at me. I'm a conscious person. I drive a Subaru. How the fuck does that happen? It's like magic. It's like magic that it actually works on people. This identity thing. Another example is in politics. If you feel one way about guns, why is it that I will most likely be able to predict how you'll feel about abortion, or how you'll feel, or which party you'd side with, or how you would feel about refugees from the Middle East, or how you would feel about wars overseas? And it's the same thing. I was describing someone on the right, but it's the same for somebody on the left too, which Subarus and yoga and meditation and incense kind of go along with much easier. Come on, are we kidding here? So if I didn't elaborate on it enough in the last podcast, I hope that helps. If you haven't listened to the previous podcast, please go ahead and do so. It's the one right before this one. And it's called How Much of You is You? ? Hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm trying to do this podcast, but I'm kind of pissed off right now. I'm trying not to let that affect me. I want to talk about social media. And can we talk about that? It'd be great if we can. So, social media. As many of you know, I haven't had the internet at home since last November, so that's like over a year now. And for those of you who don't know, it started off kind of as an experiment, and it turned out that I really liked many aspects of it. So I've kept it going this way, and I'm not doing it for any reasons of like chastity or self-negation or anything like that. I'm not doing it for any of those kinds of reasons. If it would hurt my business in any significant way, I would totally get the internet again. But it's not. I managed to get everything done that I need to get done in an insanely short period of time. Recently, we got the internet at home again. Well, I didn't get it, but we have it here at home again. I still don't have the password to the router because I haven't felt the need to get it. However, I can tell you some of the effects that may be attributed to it, but I'm not sure. It's like certain things stopped getting done around the house after getting it. Like, for example, the dishes. If I don't wash the dishes over the past week, nobody would have really washed them. I think my wife washed them one time, but she used to do them more often. And it's funny how much energy social media takes away from your home life, from your family. And it's undetectable, I think, if you're in it, but it's more detectable if you're looking at it from the outside. And by no means, please don't think that ever that I'm trying to combat or change or challenge the internet and social media. I still use it. People forget that when the subject comes up in my life that I don't have the internet at home. People automatically assume that I just never use it and that I'm like, fuck the internet. And it's not like that. I still use it. I just use it at coffee shops and at the library, and there's a couple of Wi-Fi signals around my house from restaurants and whatnot. But I usually go and I sit at a coffee shop for about a half hour, about 3 times a week. And when I'm walking past a couple of places around here while I'm walking my dog, my phone refreshes. So I get my emails, which is important for work. Social media is far down the list as far as what's important. And regarding social media, something I want to talk about is I have many friends and acquaintances who use social media for business. And some of them, it's like it's very important for their income. Like some of them Uber or Lyft, and those are apps that make you serve as a taxi, basically. And some use it for marketing of all various sorts. Some are musicians, other types of artists, business entrepreneurs of different kinds. And I don't have any of that. I won't get into why exactly, but it's kind of related to my previous philosophy of enjoying not having the internet and not being so connected all the time, because I found that it reached a point of diminishing returns, and it wasn't giving back what illusionarily that it was touting that it was giving back to me. So the time that I would put into it far exceeded the returns. Now, from my peers, some business owners and acquaintances, some business owners and artists, as I mentioned, of different kinds. They don't seem to be doing any better than I'm doing. As a matter of fact, I suspect that I'm actually doing better financially. If we have to measure it by something, measuring it financially. As a matter of fact, I'm doing better than I think many of them, maybe all of them. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. I haven't asked, but I do know that as we've had conversations, they've told me about their struggles. So this has to be looked at and reconsidered if real improvement is going to happen. I know that using social media gives a lot of people the feeling that something is being done. And actually something is being done. Like you're doing something when you're looking at your phone or your screen. Like for example, when I'm looking at my phone, sending a text message or checking my email or maybe looking at Twitter, that I'm doing that. But essentially, in the overall sense, what I'm doing is I'm looking at a phone. And there's only so much you can do in that world. And I read an article recently that I'll try to post in the show notes, where it was talking about how people are so much more into consuming quantity of information, of articles, of interesting stories, of scientific discoveries, etc., as opposed to quality. And that deep thinking is lacking in us. That more shallow sort of thinking where you're like a stone skipping over water instead of like being an anchor and going deep into the water. The more shallow type of thinking, the internet lends itself to it in an amazingly enabling way. The article also said something about like the deep thought requiring different tasks. Anyway, I think that if you look at it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you probably already know what I'm talking about. This thing about deep thinking and looking into one thing and getting interested in one topic in depth versus getting interested in the topic and then, oh, look, here's a link that's kind of related to this. Oh, look, here's a link that's kind of related to that. It could be a link on the internet, or it could be a associative link, like through a word or an image. I don't know where I'm going to land with this. It's pretty much assumed that anybody who lives in the kind of neighborhood that I live in has an internet connection. It's just the norm. And of course, I've asked myself, hey, am I being contrarian? Is that what I'm doing here? Am I playing some sort of like game, like some sort of social game with myself? And that's definitely not the case. Maybe I had room for things like that before I had kids, but I don't find any room to do those kinds of things now. Everything that I'm doing is real world applicable. And if it's not, I'm trying to figure out how it can be. If you'd like to know how I get things done online without an internet connection at home, and you're the type of person that doesn't need it at home like me necessarily for your business, I highly recommend giving it a shot to see what you learn about yourself and others. It's difficult to know what the things that I talk about. It's difficult to know what the things that you're already aware of. And it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called the expert's dilemma or something like that. But there's things that I notice and things that I think about and things that I'm aware of that you may not be aware of. But probably you are. And I don't know. It's hard to say. So I'll just put these things out there. I just put these things out there, and I judge it from the feedback that I get. Of course, that sample is not like from across the board, from across society, because it's, first of all, it's only people who listen to podcasts, and second, you have to know about my podcast. But I noticed there's this thing that I notice about people in society where they're insecure. There's a lot of insecurity in society, and I was thinking about it today in the sense of like purchasing things and the way that people feel towards all different types of authorities. And by authorities, I mean like stores and consumer experts and product experts and whatnot. But once upon a time, I was this insecure person in this regard, where, let's say I went to a store and let's say I was going to buy something and there was something wrong with it. Like, let's say it was a computer and one of the keys was a little crooked. Instead of me pointing that out to the person, somehow I would make an excuse for them, for the company, or for the person selling it. And salespeople know this, like that you're willing to make excuses for them, because people are actually, that's a good nature in people. But making excuses for these things, it's something that was taken away from me when I met somebody, a guy named Sean, and he was very savvy when it came to buying and selling things. And it was a very non-personal thing to him. Like, these were just things, and if he saw something wrong with a deal that you were trying to give him, or with a product that you were trying to sell him, he would just say it and point it out. And oftentimes I noticed that people found this offensive, but after hanging around with him for some time, I didn't understand why they found it offensive. And also, he's the type of dude that he would go and he would try to get a discount on everything. And I can see also that people found that tacky. But why did they find that tacky? Because these companies all they're trying to do is take your money, and they're trying to take as much money from you as possible. That's the name of the game. Like, for example, one time we were at a Starbucks, and we would go to the Starbucks in a Barnes & Noble, because I was teaching at this music school that he owned. And we would, across the street there was a Starbucks, and we would go there to the Barnes & Noble. The Starbucks was in the Barnes & Noble. And he would try to get coffee for free or a discount, or he'd make remarks about the prices of stuff. And I just found it funny. And the girls behind the counter, they thought it was tacky. They were like, oh, this guy again. But after a couple of years, I started to take his side and understand his perspective on these things. And I'm not that kind of a person. I don't do that. Like, I don't go to the coffee shop and try to get a discount. It was like fun for him, but it's not fun for me, that kind of thing. However, I did start seeing the lesson in his behavior was that, I'll tell you one more example. We went to this computer store, and I had a coupon for a hard drive, and the coupon had expired like 2 days prior. And he asked to speak to the manager. We were at the register, and he asked the manager if he could still honor this coupon, and the manager said yes. And bam, I got $30 off of this hard drive that I was trying to buy. And because he understands that these rules are made up. I think part of the reason that he understands that is because he's a business owner in a situation running a music school and selling instruments and books, and where he largely just makes up his own prices. Like, what is this worth? Like, what is this going to cost? What are people going to pay? So he understands that. And I think it's safe to say this now, but he taught me to never pay for he told me verbally, he taught me to never pay a registration fee for any place, like not at a gym or for any other place. He says, because it's just BS. Like there's no reason, they're not going to do anything. So here's a situation where you make something up. The registration fee, you think to yourself, maybe if you're still in this insecure mindset, you think to yourself, oh, I get it, a registration fee, yeah, because they have to send this document that I'm filling out and they have to process the funds and find a slot for me, and which they don't really. A gym has to find a slot for you now, and they have to send this paperwork upstairs and maybe to corporate, and that takes like, the paper has to be on a truck, and all of that is nonsense, right? But there I am, and there you may go, making up excuses for the person who's selling you something. And that thing may be totally invented, or it may be faulty or fraudulent even. So I'm not like that anymore. I thank Sean for teaching me these things. I may be his best pupil when it comes to this, even though he didn't realize that I was his pupil, that he was teaching me something. Maybe he did. But I see that now. I see things. It opened up the floodgate, as they say. I think that's the right euphemism. For me to see all of this, all these machinations going on behind all these sales tactics and product placements and whatnot, to a whole new level. Because I realized the whole thing was just a joke, and it was just a game, and it was as made up as any religion that you may believe is just totally made up. As is money. Money is totally made up. That's a whole other type of religion there. The economy is a type of religion. I mean, completely as a religion. Like there's nothing real about it. There's no solid walls. The only consequences that it has are the same consequences that exist because of how many people believe in it. Just like a religion. I've talked about that, I think, before on this podcast. The aspect about the money and being religion. I know I have a blog post about it too. So I won't venture off into that right now because I'm not sure. You have to realize these things. If you're living in a consumer-based society, you have to realize that all these things are made up and people are just trying to take as much money from you as possible. And that you can change things. Ya se acabó el podcast. Ya se acabó el podcast. Ya se acabó el podcast. This is me jamming on the guitar right now. You know, I used to have this friend, his name is Lance Frejo. He's still my friend, but we just lost touch. And he used to be like, he used to call me on the phone and he used to go, Goliath! What's up, dude? Goliath! He like that on the telephone. Let's turn it into a song. All right, man. Hey, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope to bring many more to you. I'm working on some music. It's difícil. What do you want me to tell you? Ooh, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.